This is the land that produced Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, that great man of whom we never say much, of whom when he was asked, he said the only race in the world is the human race. That man came out of this land. I cannot forget that this is the land that produced Bantu Stephen Biko, whom we never mention as often as we should. I cannot forget that this is the very same land that produced Winnie Mandela, that great woman that we never talk about. Oh, I cannot forget that this is the land that produced Albertina Sisulu. I cannot forget. I cannot forget that this is the very same land that produced Chris Hani. I cannot forget. I cannot forget that this is the land that produced Nelson Mandela. I cannot forget. I cannot forget that this is the land that produced Solomon Mahalangu. This is that land. I cannot forget that this is the very same land that produced Tiro Ngopotse. I cannot forget. And I cannot forget that this is the very same land that has produced Floyd Shivambu. Oh, I cannot forget. I cannot forget that this is the same land that has produced Dr. Ndlovu. I cannot forget. I cannot forget that it's the very same land that has produced Veronica, that has produced one of the hottest irons in Africa today, Julius Selo Malem. So today, as we are gathered here today, we must ask ourselves, and what is the state of our continent? What is the state of Pan-Africanism? I remember so very vividly in this land, in this South Africa, in this land where one of the greatest crimes ever committed by man was unleashed, the crime of apartheid. In this land, there came men who, in their misguided view, took the view that the black man was the child of a lesser God. They introduced one of the most egregious crimes ever known to man. They committed crimes of man's inhumanity to man. For many years, this land suffered under the yoke of apartheid. But you are not alone. Before that, the African was subjected to slavery. Our kith and kin were taken away into different parts of the world. They were taken away to Europe. They built Europe. They were taken away to the United States of America. They built the United States of America. They were taken away to the Caribbean. They built the Caribbean. Then after slavery had lost its luster and attraction, they pretended to ban slavery. But it came again in a different form. And in Berlin in 1884 and 1885, those same diabolical peoples divided our continent into little pieces. They came here. The Dutch were here. They went to what is now Namibia. The Germans were here. They went to Angola and Mozambique and Guinea-Bissau and Cabo Verde. The Portuguese were here. They came to Nyasaland. They came to what was then Rhodesia and Zambia. And they went to Kenya and Uganda and Ghana and Nigeria and Sierra Leone and Gambia. The British were here. Then the French also came. They were here. They went to Dahomey, now Benin, to Togo, to Cameroon, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Senegal, to Mauritania, to Algeria. The French were here. The Italians were here. They came to Somalia. They went to Libya. They were here. The Belgians were here. They went to Congo. The Spanish were here. They went to Sao Tome and Principe. They were here. The Belgians, of course, and the Germans went to Rwanda and Urundi. They were here. All of them were here. And what they did was to remind us, if we needed reminding at all, that they were here to stay. They abused us. We fought against them wherever they were. The Mau Mau fought them in Kenya. They fought them in Tanganyika. They fought them in Ghana. And we defeated them and we started regaining our independence. I can still hear those immortal words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah on the 6th day of March 1957 in Accra, Ghana, telling his Ghanaian peoples that the independence of Ghana means nothing if the rest of Africa is not independent. I can hear the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah convening a meeting in 1958 and telling Africans we must unite now, because if we don't unite, we will be manipulated. Nobody listened to the Osagyefo. I can hear the Osagyefo once again in 1960 in Casablanca, Morocco, accompanied as he was by King Idris of Libya on that day. In their presence was Ahmed Sékou Touré of Guinea. In their presence was King Hassan of Morocco, reminding Africa once again that we must unite. But they listened to him not. Again, on the 24th day of May 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, telling the 32 heads of states gathered in Addis Ababa, we must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. And I can hear the Osagyefo saying, I do not want to be the leader of that country. I simply want unity. And I'm saying that we must live here with one united government. They listen not to the Osagyefo. Hands were alive then. No sooner had we regained political independence, as we were celebrating our new national anthems, as we were celebrating our new flags, as we were celebrating our new mottos and slogans, the neo-colonizer was alive and well. In 1961, they had taken out Patrice Emery Lumumba. And I can remember that famous letter of Patrice Emery Lumumba written in 1961. One day, even if you kill my body, Africa shall write our history. Today we are here to write that history. I can hear, even as they took out Patrice Emery Lumumba, and in 1963 they took out Sylvanus Olympio in Togo. I can hear Sylvanus Olympio saying, take me out, but Africa shall not be taken out. I'm here to remind us that Africa shall not be taken out. They did not stop there. In 1966, they took out the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah and took him out of power and thought that they had finished the Osagyefo. And I can hear and read the Osagyefo writing from Guinea in Conakry, say, Africa shall never be enslaved again. We are here to remind them that we shall never be enslaved again. And they did not stop there. They went to Nigeria. And Nigeria, they took out the government of Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. They had finished Nigeria. They did not, because Africa can never be finished. They did not stop there. They went to Mali and they thought that they had taken out Modibo Keita, and they thought that Mali would not be taken out. They did not take Mali out. They did not stop there. They went to Algeria and took out Ahmed Ben Bella, and they thought that Algeria would be taken out. They did not take Algeria out. But the neo-colonial project is alive and well, because even as that was happening, South Africa was still under the yoke of the apartheid regime. And I can hear the words of the great South Africans at that time as a young student. I can still remember the words of O.R. Tambo. I can still remember from Angola the words of Agostinho Neto. I can still remember the words of Eduardo Mondlane and Samora Moises Machel. I can still remember the words of Sam Nujoma and Andy Mbahaman Toivo from Namibia. I can still remember. And ultimately, you succeeded in removing the organ, the monster that was apartheid. In Zimbabwe, I can still remember Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe, and they removed that monster that was the Ian Smith regime. But the question is, once we removed them, what did we do? This is the question. You know, when we remove them, we make unto ourselves many promises. We promise unto ourselves heavens, but sometimes it appears as if the devils in heaven conspired and delivered hell instead of heaven. So that the story of Africa is a story of missed opportunities. We sing our national anthems as we should. We fly our flags as we should. We have our slogans as we should. But yet, we have fallen short of the expectations of both God and man. That is why, when I look at Africa today, sometimes I feel sad. And many are those times when I see young Africans from the Gambia, from Burkina Faso, from Chad, from Nigeria, from Ghana, being humiliated in Tunisia, being humiliated and dying in the Mediterranean Sea. I feel sad. I feel sad. Are humiliated in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. I feel sad. I feel sad when young Africans are humiliated at the embassies of Western countries. I feel sad when when the white man comes here. Whether you feel sad with me, but I'm inviting you to feel sad with me. Is abused by other civilizations.